Gender Action is the only organization that focuses solely on gender justice in international finance institution investments. International finance institution, or IFIs, such as the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and the IMF, often don't include gender in their projects. They don't consider the differential impact of their projects on women and girls. They don't involve women, girls, and other marginalized groups in the planning, the design, the implementation, and evaluation of their projects, and they don't approach their projects from a human rights or gender rights perspective. So Gender Action's sole purpose is to advocate for greater gender integration in IFI projects, to ensure that women's rights and the rights of girls are upheld and that they benefit equally with men from the projects funded by IFIs. In March, I visited our partners in Kampala, Uganda. We work with an organization called the National Association for Women's Action in Development, otherwise known as NAWAD, and they invited me there to conduct a training and build their capacity to do gender analysis and learn more about the International Finance Institution activity in their country. The two main IFIs that are active in Uganda are the World Bank and the African Development Bank, and we specifically looked at their investments in reproductive health and HIV. Their investments right now total over 150 million US dollars. Unfortunately, those projects don't sufficiently incorporate gender or human rights. So our partners at NAWAD and I worked for several days looking at project documents, looking at how much money was being spent, and also looking at how that money was being spent to see whether or not the interventions funded by the World Bank and African Development Bank would not only benefit women and girls, but would also be sustainable. We used Gender Action's new Essential Gender Analysis Checklist, which allows you to go through a project document and qualitatively assess the degree to which a project integrates women and girls and other vulnerable groups in the planning and implementation and evaluation of IFI projects. You can determine whether or not the project approaches HIV or reproductive health from a gender or human rights perspective. It also helps you examine the degree to which women and girls have access to project benefits and the degree to which the project acknowledges outcomes that benefit both men and women. Reflecting back on my trip, one of the things I really appreciated and thought was so unique about Gender Action's approach to development was that our approach is very sustainable. We visit partners in developing countries and we teach those partners how to advocate for themselves and on behalf of their communities to ensure that IFI projects integrate women and girls and that women's rights are truly upheld. We teach them those skills and they're in turn able to pass those skills on to other members of their communities. So it's one of the things that I think Gender Action does best.